Well, I was shopping around for tires. Uh, they had the best price, and they were offering 120 days, same as cash, which is always a great deal, especially when there's no interest involved. So I proceeded to purchase the tires from them. It was $1,287 for four tires, mounted balanced, road hazard, and an alignment. All fine and dandy. Pick up the vehicle. Guy goes through the alignment with me. Come find out they don't even do a full alignment. All they adjust is the toe, which is one part of many parts of to an alignment. So I was a little agitated already at that point when I found that out. I wouldn't even have paid them to do the alignment. I would have done it myself if that was the case. After that, my wife took the vehicle, drove home, which we're about 20 miles from that location. She got it home, loaded it up. Her and the kids were headed to Ohio this past Saturday. And about 4 hours into the trip, she called me crying. And she said, I don't know what's wrong with my car, but it feels like the wheels are ready to fly off of it. And I said, where are you? And of course, she's on the West Virginia Turnpike, which is a very, very dangerous stretch of highway. Speed limit's in excess of 70 mile an hour, and it's windy, curvy, mountainous terrain. So, there's that. So she proceeds to tell me that she called roadside assistance, and I'm like, don't bother with them where you're at. There's a repair shop right up the street, and they're open. Take it there. So she proceeded to take it there, and she called me, and she goes, I'm going to put you on the phone with the owner of this shop. He won't tell me what's wrong. And I said, okay. So he gets me on the phone, and he goes, you're not going to believe this. He goes, 19 of your 20 lug nuts are loose. He goes, the 20th one is completely gone. It's snapped off. And I said, are you kidding me? He goes, no. He goes, I said to the mechanic, I was like, there is no way that they torqued these lug nuts. And he goes, there's absolutely no way. He goes, I could see maybe 1, 2 backing off, but he goes, not literally 20 of them. So I proceeded, he corrected it, but the issue still stands is I got to replace all 20 wheel studs and lug nuts on the truck so that I feel comfortable with it. When you have loose lug nuts like that, you run the potential of damaging the rim, damaging the wheel hub, and then you're also putting additional stress on the studs that you typically wouldn't see. So I call the shop, I ask for the store manager, he gets on the phone, and I proceed to tell him the problem. And the first words out of his mouth was, well, did you buy them outright, or did you do the 120 days same as cash? And I'm like, well, what's the difference? Well, the difference is if you bought them outright, we might be able to help you. But since it's 120 days same as cash, you're supposed to bring it back every 25 miles for the first 100 miles and have your wheels retorqued. I'm like, well, that's interesting because I've been working on cars for 20 plus years, and I have never, ever had a customer come back for their wheels to be retorqued, nor have I ever had a customer complain of loose lug nuts. Now, with that said, 30, 40 years ago, that was a little more true because you had a different type of wheel back then. They were usually, steel wheels. They were stamped steel and they flexed. So, yes, you did have to retorque them after 25 or 50 miles. But by today's standards, that is not a common practice at all. I proceeded to ask him, I'm like, well, what are your guys using back there to tighten the lug nuts? And he goes, well, we use air impacts and torque wrenches. And I'm like, well, clearly they didn't use the torque wrench. Because if they did, this wouldn't have happened. I would bet the bank on it that it wouldn't have happened. A lot of shops are common practice. They use air impacts. And there's nothing wrong with that. I use an air impact myself. but I always re-verify them by hand with either a torque wrench or some type of large bar to make sure that those lug nuts are tight. You know, a lot of shops, especially these high volume shops like RNR Tire is, I've seen it. I can't say for sure at RNR, but I have seen it at other shops where mechanics or tire technicians are using cordless impacts, which are, you know, 18 or 24 volt or whatever it is, and they put the lug nuts on with that, and then they go back through and retorque them. My guess is what happened is they used an air impact, and the air impact's either getting weak and worn out, or they didn't have enough air volume to give that impact its full power capabilities. Or B, they used a cordless impact and then never went back through them. So with all that said to him, he said, well, there isn't much we can do for you. Have a nice day, basically. So at this point right now, every time I talk about it, I'm still furious. I mean, I as a mechanic, I almost want to go down there and wring their necks. As the time goes on, I'm at the point now where I think when my wife comes back from Ohio, which will be next Tuesday, I'm going to go ahead and purchase another set of tires from a different dealer, have them mount them and balance them, recheck the alignment, or I'll do it myself, either or. And I'm going to return the tires to them, and if they want to dispute it from there, we'll go from that route on. And I thought after the conversation with the manager, I thought for sure I would get a call from the owner, because the owner's there all the time. I know that, because when I was in there, she was in there. And I really expected to get a phone call, especially after I texted her and told her. And I've had no contact from them whatsoever. And I'm not going to make any great effort to reach out to them at this point. You know, they know I'm unsatisfied. They know I'm upset. You know, and I expressed my concerns in a text message to her, you know, that's when you do that type of work, maybe you should put in practice some type of verification. Either have another tech come through and verify them, or something to that effect, because, you know, they got lucky and I got lucky and my family got lucky this time.